as we go east to west. Thank you. Carol, you're up.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for letting me have a little cameo appearance. And I will try to keep it brief here. I think you'll find there's overlap between some of the things that we've talked about so far. But there we are up in Northwest Pennsylvania, land, and it's not snowing today. It's 90, so I'm loving it. Our IU covers the 3-county area, Erie, Warren, and Crawford, but Erie is where our office runs the student assistance program for the county school districts. So real quick about our IU, our mission statement defines us, and we're an educational service agency enriching communities. We have a lot of diversity in our populations that we serve, and looking at emerging needs of all learners and creating safe and innovative environments. So just real quick about IUs, there's 29 across Pennsylvania. IUs have been in existence now since the early 70s. And I apologize, I see a couple typos in there. I was going too fast. But our office has a staff of over 400. There's 4,500 plus educators in our catchment area. Student population is 62,512, and that does include Erie's public schools, which is our largest school district. And our main programs are early intervention for the 3 to 5-year-olds, mental health through student assistance, financial services, school improvement, which is curriculum and instruction, special education, and then our tech department does a lot of support for our local school districts. Regarding SAP specifically, we have 14 SAP liaisons from 4 different mental health agencies, and then we also work with school districts that direct hire individuals who cover both the SAP liaison responsibilities and then also what we call school-based behavioral health. We serve 12 public school districts, and we have 1 non-pub liaison who covers the 3 Catholic high schools in our region. We have both suburban and rural. I think our smallest school district is right around 900. And then our largest school district would be Mill Creek Township School District. And I think, I'm just ballparking it, but I think they're well over like 6,000 students. Our SAP program is structured so that Pyramid Healthcare does the drug and alcohol assessments. They have liaisons who sit in with the SAP teams. They're not currently using BH Works, but when the mental health SAP liaison does a screen and it's positive for drug and alcohol use, certainly they get that DNA person involved as far as the discussion with the overall SAP team. Our liaisons are using BH Works for this assessments. And the other responsibilities that our SAP liaisons take on through the intermediate unit is responsibility. And that means if a school district has a suspension and additional support brought in, then I task some of those from neighboring school districts to go into that district supports, and a lot of they provide assistance with triage referrals. So there have been several instances where we call mobile crisis to go into the home. So that's that. And I like the graphic. There is a I'm getting audio signal. Hopefully you can hear me okay. In our county, SAP is structured in that the Department of Human Services through county contracts with our office, the IU, and our IU turns around and then we contract with those 4 different agencies that you see that are in areas, and then also districts. So we pass those funds through for the staff liaison services. So it makes for a lot of on my part keeping track of all the different things, but I've been at this for 4 years now, and every year I learn a little bit more. Okay, so you can go to the next slide. That is just a listing of the agencies and the schools that we work with. And we have implemented BHWorks since 2018. So through this past May, we had 1,290 students that were screened using that. The feedback from the liaisons, I mean, initially we had a lot of trepidation about, you know, worries that they were going to lose rapport, that it was really going to take a personal process. And the opposite has been found, where it's really been helpful in targeting the questions that need to be addressed with the child. The school's feedback has been that the results are helpful in consideration for emotional support eligibility in special education. For students with anxiety issues, it's providing a very nice way of tracking their progress. And helping the kids self-reflect on where they were with things and then how they're coming along. And the other thing too is, as far as clinician bias, I mean, each one of us has our own comfort in asking some of those extremely difficult questions. And a good example of that was one of our liaisons, who's one of the most bubbly people you'd ever want to meet, had been working with a student for over a year. And then we were starting the BHWorks system. So she decided that she was going to pilot it with this student she was pretty comfortable with, just to see how it went, and if there were any bugs, it wasn't going to be a big deal. And the student responded positively that at, you know, certain points in their life they had considered suicide. And she was just floored because that had never come up in her year of working with that child. And she said to the child, why, you know, didn't this come up before? And the kid said, you never asked me. So we really like this tool because it just makes everything very clear, very consistent as far as the process. I think we can go to the next slide, please. So there's some of our statistics from those 1,290 students that were screened. And I think they speak for themselves pretty well. Tita's comment when he looked at this data was, it's actually a decent number of kids who actually attend after being referred for service. And, you know, when we were talking about why that might be, lots of the school districts in our area have outpatient provider relationships. So either those outpatient providers are coming into the school and delivering services there. And it seems like the families are very appreciative of that convenience. And that's not to say that those providers aren't working with the families after hours, but they're at least getting that work done, you know, during the school day. And this is, of course, pre-COVID. So I don't know if there's anything else there, but all right, we're going to a summary. I think I mentioned, very helpful to have that uniform screener with the valid statistics to look at for comparison. Another thing that we've been using the screener for is if a child is in crisis and it sounds like consideration for admission to inpatient might be in order, with the family's permission, we can either send a copy of that report in to help target and gather information for the psychiatrist who may be assessing that child. Because I think we've all had that experience where a child is in crisis, the family takes them to the ER, 5 hours later, the child is exhausted and everything is very calmed down, at least for the time being, and then they're sent home. So it helps try to avoid, I guess, those turnaways. And I think I mentioned we like the progress monitoring feature. And, you know, it's a work in progress. We're continuing to work with some of the therapists who are not as tech savvy and comfortable. So getting supports for them in place to help that happen consistently is our next goal, I would say. And there's my contact information, and that's all, folks.